I saw one story on weirdfresno.com where it talked about, you'd gotten emails about an underground society of vampires. And what I like too about Weird Fresno, Mike, is that you don't just stick to, one type of story. It's not just ghost stories. It's not just cryptid stuff. You have a little bit of a hodgepodge of everything.
UFO hotspot out there.
A lot of UFO stories on weirdfresno.com.
Oh, yeah. Nothing lately, unfortunately. It's been kind of quiet.
A lot of them involve stuff going in and out of the ocean out there.
Really? I haven't heard anything.
Look up Preston Dennett.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, do you have, does it happen in flaps? Are they isolated sightings that happen now and then? Do they come in waves?
The only flap that we have, and it's during the summertime, is on Interstate 5 towards the western part of Fresno County. People have been seeing these lights there for years. And the description that I heard, I'm like, okay, that sounds like a crop duster. So, but I've seen video of them, and it's completely different. One, it's hard to judge the size, but it was definitely triangle-shaped. And it had maybe 5 or 6 red blinking lights on 2 of the sides. I had no idea what that was. Well, and it was moving. It was moving continuously. I thought maybe it was, several objects in formation. It just didn't look like that.
I mean, there is, there's a lot, and Moniz can probably speak to this better than I can, but there is a long history of there being frequent UFO sightings along the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that we've had some, a lot of experimental aircraft that has been out there. Some suspicions that there's stuff that has come from Asia across the Pacific Ocean. But there's also quite a few stories that I've heard of, West Coast UFOs that are certainly not like anything that we have. Probably, I would think, because if I had to take into account as to why they might be more prevalent there, one guess I would have, Moniz, is that it's a place that's a lot more geologically active with earthquakes and the shifting of the plates out there, that maybe there's something about the energy in that area that would draw these, if they are beings from another planet, maybe there's a reason why they're coming to that area.
Well, you have a number of, the West Coast is dotted with military bases up and down the coast.
Mm-hmm.
You have a number of power plants based right along the coast. You have a big tectonic fault line that's right up and down the coast. That whole West Coast has a lot of things that would interest people from somewhere else.
And there's some nuclear action too as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
West Coast, yeah. It's where a lot of the uranium was refined for the bomb and stuff like that. They still have stuff out there.
So certainly there's a reason for, Mike, for somebody to be watching you from the skies above.
Oh, definitely. Well, I do know that about, I believe, 100 miles or so straight is Area 51. And then Edwards Air Force Base is about 2.5 hours south of me. So there's, I'm thinking a lot of them might be military.
Vandenberg.
Because I know in the 80s, we actually had an F-117 crash, I want to say near Bakersfield, which is kind of in between me and Los Angeles.
Yep.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if half the things that's been seen are just black ops projects.
And, we in talking about the different types of things that you deal with there and having a high level of UFO sightings, cryptid sightings is another thing that happens quite a bit out there. Do you have some cryptid legends that are kind of based in Fresno?
Well, we definitely have Bigfoot sightings. There's dogs barking. I'm sorry.
As long as it's not Bigfoot barking.
We definitely have a lot of Bigfoot sightings up in the foothills. I'm about an hour from Yosemite, so there's that. We have some chupacabra sightings, but to me they look like the cases of the dogs with mange. Yeah. But people still say it's a chupacabra. There's the night crawlers that I mentioned,
mm-hmm.
and one I actually just found out this week, and I'm actually in the middle of researching it. Somebody claims that they saw a pterosaur flying over Fresno in 2007.
Wow.
And so I'm trying to find out about that. We get some Thunderbird sightings, But this is the first time I've heard of a pterosaur.
There's some old photographs, quote unquote, that claim to be of pterosaurs shot out in those areas back in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
I've seen that one, yeah.
I mean,
there's several of them. Whether any of them are real, or there's only one that I know of that could possibly be, but it's, they're all suspect in my book.
Same here, agreed.
I mean, but there's enough of a diversity of wildlife out your way that it's possible that something could stick around and exist for millions of years. Not obviously one single particular creature, but that it could still hang around and survive. But I'm sure you've also gotten some strange emails over the years of things that just even seem too crazy for you to believe.
One of my favorites is underneath the Fresno airport here, which is also the National Guard Air Base, is a nuclear storage facility, and there is a quote-unquote high-speed train that goes the speed of sound from here to Cheyenne.
Really?
Where NORAD's stored. I worked at the airport for a while, and they didn't show me that part when I was there.
Well, I mean, you never know. Maybe there's just parts that they didn't let you go into, but that would be kind of a hard one for me to swallow.
Yeah, but I mean, it was interesting, and I had a chuckle. But the person they were serious. They said that they talked to somebody that worked there, and that underneath the airport was an underground military base, which was linked directly with the NORAD facility.
I mean, but sometimes it just takes one or two people to share a story to kind of give it legs. I saw one story on weirdfresno.com where it talked about, you'd gotten emails about an underground society of vampires. Is that
yes?
That's something that looks like it didn't really pan out, though.
It didn't. I originally got a couple emails, like you said, and I was like, okay, this is interesting, and I put it up there. I wanted to share it, see if I can get feedback. Nothing.
I almost wonder with stories like that, though, like if there isn't some truth to them, but also, they know that you're on to them.
Could be.
So they kind of hide a little bit better than they normally would. I have to give you credit, though, because it's easy for us. We're a group. We're not a paranormal group. We're not a team or anything, but there's at least a group of us. There's 4 of us that do the show, and then we have a network of people. So when somebody calls us with some sort of a strange claim or something that seems like it might be dangerous to go into, like we have safety in numbers. Are you going and checking these things out on your own? Do you let people know where you're going when you're going and exploring a possible underground society?
Oh, no. I learned a lot not to go by myself. I have one of my best friend that I've been ghost hunting with, since we were 17, basically. He goes with me.
All right, because, again, safety in numbers, especially when somebody sends you an email and tells you that, you never know where you're being led into and what kind of trap they could be setting for you.
Well, I figured I was a sacrifice or something.
But, sometimes, though, we say that, we don't want to become the story. We just want to, document the story. But if you got to go, I mean, at least go being part of the story. That's the way I look at it.
Well, I've been told this, and I said this over the years, I'm more afraid of the living than the dead. I'll go into a supposed haunted house, whatever. It's just when you get the people like the Vampire Society, I was a little hesitant. I'm not going to lie.
Well, come on into the underground places. It's fine. You'll be okay. Yeah, no, thanks. What is probably the weirdest thing that you've experienced? In researching these, what have you encountered with and seen with your own eyes that you just couldn't believe?
This actually didn't happen when I was researching, but this is kind of what got me into this whole field. My mom's house was haunted, which I didn't know about when I lived there. And one night I'm going to bed, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I see this, this figure. There was a female figure in a white dress go from my sister's room across the hallway and into the bathroom. And we had a hardwood floor, and I heard the dress, kind of rustling along on the floor. I thought it was my sister sleepwalking. So I turn on the light. Nobody's in there. Like, okay, that's kind of weird. Go in her room. turn the light on. She's fast asleep wearing sweats and a T-shirt. And I knew I saw someone, a female figure that was wearing a dress. Go to bed, next day, and talk to my mom about it. Just real nonchalantly, oh, yeah, that's the previous owner's wife. She died here.